Hello, students. How are you? I hope you all are fine and staying home to keep yourself safe from COVID 19. Students, in the previous module, we discussed about the tribal people, the condition of tribal people after implementation of forest policy by the Britishers. Here in this module, we are going to discuss about the Indian industries, condition of Indian industries. So let us begin, student. Effect of colonialism on craft and industries. With more and more part of urban and rural India coming under the rule of the East India Company, the exploitative character of the British rule was exposed. The company's monopolization of trade was getting stronger day by day. Although agriculture was the main occupation. There was no dearth of handicraft, calico, muslin, wool, and silk products. Metal works of iron, steel, copper, brass, gold, and silver were also in great demand. In the 17th century, trade with European nations was in favor of India as we exported large quantities of fine cotton, silk fabric, spices, indigo, drugs, precious stones, and handicrafts. Unfortunately, the company's policy led to the destruction of Indian crafts, cottage industries, and artisanship. To safeguard the British cotton industry, Indian silk and cotton textiles were destroyed with the imposition of very heavy duty on Indian goods, promotion of British machine made articles at cheaper rate and decrease in the princely patronage. So in all these different efforts by the Britishers, they were trying to flourish their British industries. They were in desire of getting more and more demand in our country and getting the raw material for their country. And for all these purposes, they step by step destroyed the Indian crafts and industries. Changes in the British trade policy forced the Indian craftsmen and artisans give up their traditional livelihood. The type of work the Indian artisans were following from their ancestors that had to be give up. No doubt, the Industrial Revolution in Britain and the other European countries was also responsible for deindustrialization of India. All these factors started the process of ruining the traditional handicrafts and the decline in the national income of India. As of course there is a genuine reason. If the Indian industries will be destroyed, the income will not be generated properly in our country, in this country. And that happened in the past. Modern industries in India. The impact of our national movement for freedom and international development opened the gates of modern industries in India. For example, tea became the biggest plantation industry in Assam, Bengal, and South India. So much so that Indian tea topped the world market and England became its biggest buyer. The other plantation industries were coffee, cinchona, and rubber. Do you know cinchona plants are trees or large shrubs with average foliage with which grows 15 to 20 meters in height. This plant was introduced in India in 1859. They are found in the Nilgiri and Annamalai hills of Tamil Nadu and Darjeeling in West Bengal. It provided raw material for manufacturing quinine for malaria. So this way, this is a having very big importance for human life. Industries like Industries like cotton, jute, iron, and steel developed at fast rate. For example, with the expansion of railways, the demand for coal, iron, and steel increased. It was because of foresightedness and determination of Jamshedji Tata that world-class famous company like Tata Iron and Steel Company came up. With the passage of time, cement, chemical, and sugar industries also developed. But we had to import machineries from abroad. It was only after independence that basic or key industries were given priority in India. If we see this table, there is comparative table given for the various land reform revenue system introduced by East India Company and that became the region for exploitation of Indian farmers. The permanent revenue system. It was introduced by Lord Cornwallis in the year 1793. The areas were Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. The provision was there. The jamidars were recognized as the owner of land. The amount was divided into two unequal parts, 10 is to 11. Of the share belongs to East India Company and the remaining 1 is to 11 means 1 by 11 part belongs to jamidars. The cultivators, the impacts on cultivators. Cultivators who till now enjoyed some rights were now reduced to status of tenant of land. Just you can say that kirayadar. The rules were very rigid, as defaulters often lost claim over the land. If they were not able to pay the taxes, the land was taken by the Britishers and landlords. Since the initial revenue demand by the British was very high, a number of jamidars were unable to pay it, and as a result, they lost their land. So, jamidars also lost their this right of collecting taxes. Then, second land revenue system was introduced as Ryotwari system by Thomas Munro in 1820. The area was mainly in South India. The provision was the ownership rights were given to peasants that small farmers, and taxes were directly collected by the East India Company. The revenue rate were 50% of dry lands and 60% for irrigated lands. It did not serve the interest of peasants as they were exploited and oppressed. The impact on the peasants was that it did not help the peasants, exploited and oppressed. The peasants could be deprived of their land if they failed to pay revenue in time. The government also had the right to increase the rate of revenue at its own will. There was no some certain rules and regulation. There was just rule implemented by the Britishers as and when they feel to change it. Then third revenue settlement was implemented. Mahalwari system introduced by Holt Mackenzie 1822. Gangetic Valley, Northwest Province and Central India and Punjab were the areas where this system was implemented. Land was divided into mahals. Mahal is mainly related to the village. Each mahal comprised of one or more villages. Village committee were responsible for tax collection. If we see impact on peasants, the government demand was very high, so it did not bring any benefit to the cultivators. And of course, there was no aim. The Britishers were going to help the Indians in any way. They were all the time trying to exploit the Indians in favor of British territory. So this was all about for today's, and I think this chapter ends here. We'll meet in the next module, students.